Christie's here from the wonderful setting of Buckingham Palace. But now, how do you feel when someone rings you up offering to sell you something which will make you millions of pounds? Well, the government thinks cold calling is a fraudster's charter and wants it banned for the selling of financial products. They also are looking at introducing SIM card farms so they can tell when one SIM card is being used to pump out a load of calls. Rishi Sunak says that he's taking the fight to the con man and is setting up a new national fraud squad with 400 new specialist investigators, and not before time, because it is the bane of a lot of people's existences, especially a lot of elderly people. I'm joined now by Tony Sales, who's co-founder of We Fight Fraud. Tony, welcome to the show. Great to have you on there. Thank you very, very much for coming on. Now, look, just talk to me a little bit about these measures. So, banning cold calls on financial products. So, presumably, if you get anything where someone goes, I'm going to make you a millionaire, Rodney, this time next year, you can go, no, this is definitely a fraud. They're going to be able to track more calls as well, calls from one number from a load of different venues, etc. Do you think this will be good enough?
It's a start. It's a good start, I guess. The problem that we're going to face, and it's the problem that we faced the whole way through, is that a lot of people don't really understand how scams work. So we may block the numbers that are calling us, but where did those people get the information from? This comes from hacked data, breaches on sites, people giving away their data without even realizing it, people selling their data without even realizing it. That's how you really get to stem the flow. I've heard the argument about spoofing calls and stuff for a long time, and I guess that one of the very first things I showed when I got into fraud prevention was it's really easy to ring someone from a private number, and if your story is convincing enough, how do you stop that person on the other end of the phone actually parting with their money? And as history has shown us, the more the more we get better at defending certain types of scams, the more it's going to be pushed into another direction. So we've seen rises in romance scams, in all of these other places that fraudsters look to grab control of someone that they can absolutely target and get them to relinquish their funds. And this all comes back to what was being said at the end of that interview. It's all about awareness and making people aware. And of course, the very first thing we say is, put the phone down if you don't think it's your bank, and you should definitely do that. You should never click on links that you don't know where they've come from. However, we have to get into a better place of understanding as the new digital world that we're living in. Most links that you click are not going to have malware in them straight away. It's going to be to get you to put your password in. And we like to educate people on what they should be putting in. Did they solicit this? There's a whole load of stuff. We've forgotten about the old days of junk mail. We used to get our mailboxes would be full of junk mail, and most of us would just ignore it. Some people, they were phishing. This is the exact same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there were those days as well where a cold caller would do it in person. I'm sure they still do a bit, but you'd walk round to your nan's house or something and you'd find a bloke sitting in her living room trying to sell her a conservatory for 10 grand that she absolutely doesn't need. It is a bit more high tech now. Can I just ask you, you've given some wonderful advice there, which is essentially, if you think there's anything suspect at all, bin the call off, right? Bin the call off completely. Your bank will never really ring you. The police will never really ring you like that. But look, if you don't mind me asking, if that's all right, and this is where if I've been fed some tough information here, please don't sue me. But I understand that you were one of Britain's biggest fraudsters. Is that right? And to the tune of millions. Is that right? So you know how to do it, man.
Yeah, I know how to do it, and I've kind of been banging the same drum. The advice that I've been giving, Patrick, from day one, and I've been doing this for 13 years now, preventing fraud, is the exact same advice as I've always given, because it's us as humans that are the vulnerability. As much as we don't want to admit it, there's not a single computer anywhere on the planet serving a prison sentence, and that's because it's always a human behind it. It's always a human instigating it, and we've just got to get better at defending these type of attacks. Now, we say that our banks wouldn't text us or call us, but that's just actually not true, because our banks do text and call us, and this is mixed information. So I know that my bank have called me twice today and have texted me twice today, both from a mobile number and from their number. And that's a real call that they're actually trying to get hold of me. Now, I haven't solicited that call. However, I know in the background from the emails that they've been sending me that they are trying to contact me. So there's a lot of misinformation that people don't really understand, right? And it's always going to come back down onto us. What do you think? Is it someone trying to get you? If someone's trying to put you in panic and fear, they're trying to say that your money's going to get taken now, it's stolen, well, we of the bank need to move it. The best possible place for your money to be is in your own bank account, and don't give no one any information. Put the phone down and call the bank separately from another number that you may Google and get to where you need to get to. Don't call the number back that's on your phone. And that, you know, this is the best possible bit of advice, because it could be your bank, but you need to just double check it. But put the phone down. Your bank is not going to put you into panic and fear, okay? And we need to be clear on that fact.
Absolutely, and I do think as well, if possible, and it's not always possible, but if possible, relatives and friends need to be a bit vigilant as well. If you start to think that maybe someone's getting conned, then just step in, have a little word. But look, thank you very, very much. It's absolutely fantastic to get you on the show, and really, really great insight into the world of fraud as well. That is the reaction to the fact that the government is going to bring in specialist fraud squads. Be very careful out there, people. They're getting more and more high-tech. You might think, you know, you've got all your wits about you and all of that, but it's easily done. You find yourself completely out of pocket.